morning, guys. Dan the Glass Man here. You're watching the Glass Man's World, and we are doing an update on our corn and tomato plants. So this isn't corn and tomato. This is actually goji here, and I just wanted to show you that it's actually starting to flower. How beautiful is that? So I got these beautiful little flowers, which means whenever it starts to flower, then you start to get fruit, right? So check it out, guys. Got all these beautiful little pods coming up. And look, there's a fly sleeping. We woke up before the flies even woke up. So it's about I think 6 a.m. in the morning. Got a beautiful sunrise happening. The clouds to the west are picking up a little bit of the colors here. This does not do any justice for it. But let's do a quick update. So this is our goji plant, doing pretty well. We also have a beautiful Tulsi basil plant, holy Tulsi. This is a beautiful plant. I love growing this in regards to Krishna, Krishna, Hari Bol. So this plant has taken off in the last week. I don't know if you saw the update from last week, but it has completely just taken off. It's got a lot of moisture, and been making sure to give it a lot of water. It was dried out before, but now it's taken off. So that's really nice. We don't have anything going on here still yet. I did put a little onion in there just to see what will happen. But we still need to do a lot there. And we got some kind of a, I don't know what that is, guys. Do you guys know what that is? I was thinking like geranium, but I don't think that is. So it's got to be some kind of flowering plant. I'm not really sure. Do you know what this is here? Let me know in the comments below, because it's a volunteer plant. I'm not really sure what it is. Looks like it's some sort of mites or something. Uh-oh. I'll have to make sure to keep that away from the other plants. Maybe we'll have to spray it with some soap water and a little bit of cayenne pepper. Get rid of the mites. All right, let's go take a look at the corn and the tomato. So, and oh yeah, we still got our beautiful rosemary coming up here. Let's give it a nice little smell. Smells so good. Okay, the mullein has overtowered me. It's as tall as I can reach. That is so crazy. And it's leaning now. It's the leaning tower of mullein here. So we live in an apartment complex, guys. So I'd like to show you that there is a way of actually growing food, growing some sort of a garden, even if you have, the tiniest little space. See, this is like our next door neighbor's little area right there, and right in front is our little spot right here. You can see, like, everyone, they take care of their spots all a little differently, or not take care of it at all. But so we're utilizing our space. We're putting plants and things. So we have this huge space. We got a rain barrel system here to collect all the rain off of our rain gutter. No one else does that here. We got rain gutters all over the place. So at times I'll take some of these extra buckets and I'll just put them under their gutters and fill them. So, and then we got all kinds of like planting stuff here, and all this stuff already staged, but there ain't nothing growing yet. We really only have these plants right here. So this morning, what I've been doing is I've been thinning out, actually. If you remember from the very first day, Boogie, our son, had planted uh, some corn here. So here's our update on our corn, guys. So the corn is actually it's grown. It's grown. It's actually grown a good, here, let me put my hand in there, and you can see that's, that's at least like 8 to 10 inches right there tall, almost a foot tall. It's at the time where we can now plant some beans. We can put some beans in here, guys, and what I'd like to do is actually wait for my son to come and get back home, so he can plant some beans all in the empty spaces here. So that's the plan. We'll get some beans going. And then the trick is so you plant your corn, right? And then after it gets to about, close to a foot tall, then you put your beans in there, right? And I don't know, we might do like black beans or pinto beans or something like that. I'm not really sure what kind of beans we're gonna do. We also have like the white anasazi beans and like these beans from like some old heirloom type beans. So we'll probably put something like that in there. So we have to thin it out. We put 2 in each spot, and they all sprouted out, which is amazing because the corn that we used has been sitting outside in the elements and everything, just like this, guys. And I don't remember if we did the red or the blue. I don't know which one we did. I don't know if we did the red or the blue. So we'll find out. But we plant it one color. You don't want to plant 2 next to each other or they'll cross-pollinate. So we do one color, one type of corn each year, So it'll either be the red or the blue. Maybe, we'll try to grow some like rainbow corn, the glass corn or things like that. But, I really do grow the corn mainly for the kernel and for the seed and just for the blessings every year to be able to grow corn. So today, well, I've been having to thin out the corn here because, and we don't need that in there, to thin out the corn. So now we have a shoot coming up on all 3 sides like a triangle here, right? We can't have 2 next to each other because they'll outgrow each other and start competing. And as you can see how small this is here, the roots have spread out pretty well, and it may have hurt. Oh look, you can still see the corn kernel right there. That's pretty cool. It's covered in soil, but that is the corn. That's the corn right there at the end of the root. So that's really cool. So we are going to transplant this corn here. So I got the tripod here all ready for you guys. Let's see if I can set you up without y'all falling here. So what we've been doing, let me move that over some, is getting the corn into these other containers here. So we got this one on the side, and we put the corn in right there. We had another one in, as you remember, there were 3, right? We had 3. We had an extra one for each area that we had grown, and now I pulled out this old plant here. I don't know, this weird kind of I don't know if it was poppy or something. I was trying to get this to re-root from a garden I was working in, and it didn't take. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I pulled it. We're going to use this soil here. And in doing so, I found this plant right there growing in that area. And so we just transplanted that one. I was like, oh, I should have probably waited. And so I figured we might as well do an update. And I would show you, how we're going to try to save some of these plants. So this one was basically right here in this little area, this divot here. So I just scooped it out, the whole thing with the whole root ball and everything, just like that. Pulled it out and then put it into the pot here. So that one should be fine. We just got to make sure to, give it some water. And then that way it won't dry out right away. We'll keep those roots nice and moist. All right, so we're going to set this one aside. And we'll have a nice little flowering plant there. So we're going to simply just put this corn directly in here now that this is all cleared and empty. And I want to just loosen up the soil a little bit. So we're just going to go in and dig it up some. Just like that. And then we're going to go right into the center here. I'm going to try to make it a big enough hole so these roots can really, really spread out on their own like that. And then we're just going to cover it up. Cover those roots just like that. Bring all the soil in from the sides back to the center. Right? And then you want to make sure that, you get that soil tap down on those roots really good so they have something to grab onto. And at this time, like if you need to readjust it, like you see that I just put my I forget what these little shovels are called. But I just dug in right there and then slid it back some. I wanted to center it into this pot a little bit better, and I'll just make sure that that's tapped down around the root area really well to make sure that that root can have something to really grab onto with that soil there. And also I don't want to cover that bottom shoot there, or where the where that last leaf is growing, that blade. And there you go. And then we'll make sure that we add some water to it, of course, all the way around. Now these ones we're gonna just hand water, but I want to show you a trick with the other corn here. So come take a look at this. This is gonna be really, really awesome. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen back in the days, but they used to make these clay pots, right? They're like a round vessel, right? It's bulbous on the bottom and then skinnier on top. I forget what they call them, but they use them a lot here in the deserts. You know, we live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where, you know, a lot of desert growing, and you have to keep the soil moist. So this way, what I've done is I've buried this whole entire bottle here, and it's roundish towards the bottom. So underneath, you know, it widens out and it gets bigger, and it probably goes down, I'd say about that deep, you know, something like that. So we flipped this bottle over from the last time. You know, the first time we had it inverted on its cap to where the water would just trickle out this hole. So what I've done is I've made 3 holes, so it basically would shoot the water to each chute like that. And then we just fill it up through the top like this. And now we've created our very own self-watering system here by using this old Native American technique of using the clay pots, which I forget what they're called, like ornas or something like that. I don't remember specifically, but you just fill that up, right? And then it's gonna water itself. And you can see how quick that water is moving through. When the soil gets really moist, then it'll do a slower trickle. So we're gonna just make sure that gets enough water there, and then we'll recap it. You know, and the other thing too is I probably should get a different cap, and that would actually, having the air plugged right there would maybe slow down how quick it's pouring out. But that is now a real simple self-watering system, and you can do that with so many different plants. You know, like we have our tomato plant here, so let's move over to the tomato plant. And as you can see, check it out, this thing is starting to like trellis out. I'm gonna keep pushing it into the center there, that way it doesn't start growing out of the cage yet. We want it to pop up, but we're going to train it to grow off the top of it here and then pop out. So since we put this tomato in about, what, 2 weeks ago, you know, it was really stunted and it was short. It's doubled in size now. And this is the watering hole. And let's see, can you see some water in there? Yeah. So we filled that up the other day. You can see how moist this soil is right here. I don't water it from the top. I water it directly through the hole here, and then there's a wick underneath that pulls the water up into the second bucket. There's 2 buckets on top of here. This is a Dutch bucket system. I've talked about it before. I have videos on how to make them. This is a very old system, and it's falling apart. So I will have to replace the buckets. These buckets have lasted about 5 years. I'm remembering that these are the old buckets I had out at Camp 2 Dogs, and I was living out there at least 5 or 6 years ago. So these buckets this systems last at least 5 or 6 years. So, you know, $2 bucket, $2 bucket, you know, $4 or $5 right there for a good, you know, 5 years. to be able to grow a self-watering container. You can get some planters that are really large, like these big old planters right here, and they're not cheap. You know, the big old planter like that, what, 20 to 40 bucks? You get yourself one like this, and it's self-watering for only like 5 bucks, right? So it's such a better deal to just get yourself some buckets, and you can even get food grade buckets if you're worried about the plastic leaching, but we're not worried about the plastic leaching, right? Most of the plants come in these really really bad containers. Everyone talking about how oh no, don't grow in there and this and that. It's like we've been growing in these things for years, guys. But you can get food grade containers and do it a lot safer. But this here, now all I do is I water it in the hole, and I leave it. Right now, maybe every other week, once a week, I'm watering it. Maybe once a week, actually. Because I think it's like we're doing a weekly update here. I think I'm watering it at least once in between. So this one here, we may replace the bottle and just puncture even tinier holes to make the water trickle slower. Or just put a cap on there so then there's no more hole, and it'll maybe slow down the trickle to where it just drips out and becomes more of a drip system. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to give you the weekly update on our tomato, which you can see the tomato plant's about a foot and some, a little over a foot, and the corn is like barely under a foot right there. So I'm really happy with this. Uh, I do miss my old. I had a really beautiful plot of land. Well, not a plot of land, but a yard that I was allowed to grow in, and we had at least like 100 corn growing back there, and I really miss that little area that we had. But I'm happy to be able to say, even though we have a small little apartment, we can utilize this space here in a way that you can see the difference. We got all the plants, and I wish that everything was growing. I wish everything was planted, but we'll be able to get some plants in here soon. I was going to put a squash. Oh, let's talk about that. Excuse me. So, the reason why I'm putting beans in here with the corn is to allow the beans to trellis up the corn. So, as the corn grows, the beans are going to grow up with it and basically allow the corn to be its stick or whatever it needs to grow onto. It's going to hold on to that and grow up the whole entire shoot of the corn. Now on the back side over here, we're going to put a squash plant. The reason for that is we're going to try to mimic a Three Sisters garden. And what that is, the Three Sisters, you have your corn, you have your beans, and you have your squash. Now, those are plants that we grow simultaneously. We grow in conjunction with one another. It's called companion gardening. And so what you do is you find plants that are companions with one another, which basically that means they will help each other out. So there are some sort of like toxins or something within the squash plant which will keep the bugs away from the corn, and then there's certain like things within the corn and the beans that help keep the bugs away from the squash, and like vice versa. It's like a really interesting uh, symbiotic relationship. It's a companion gardening, guys. So Three Sisters has been around for many generations. It's something that the natives have been doing, Native Americans, and even down the Native Southern Americans as well, and down in Mexico and South America. We got to remember always the Native Americans run all the way down to the south as well. You can't just think of Native Americans only up here in North America and Canada, because we're all connected through Mexico and through South America, right? It's all the Americas here. We're all American, all Native Americans here, right? And so The Three Sisters has been around for, generations upon generations, centuries of growing, and it's proven to grow in that way. So we're going to test that out here in a kind of a 2 bucket system. Now this isn't a self-watering system. Besides, we have this in there. So now it is. That's the self-watering system. That's the watering spigot, watering spigot, watering spigot, and watering spigot. You see how the difference is? This one's wider, so I can pour water into it a lot quicker, a lot easier. You know, when we're watering this one, I simply just do this. That's it. I'm done. I'm gonna make sure we add a little bit more water on these guys since we replanted them, just to make sure that they stay moist. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I'm gonna let y'all go. I just wanted to give y'all a quick update on the corn. Pretty soon the beans, and then soon the squash, and we'll have the tomato here. I'm not sure what we're gonna put in that one. We are limited with our space, so I wish that I could just sprout out, hundreds of seeds and just put them into the ground, but where are we gonna put them? I mean, weeds do grow. We could maybe start growing through the rocks and stuff. I kind of am trying to do that here in this little corner. I've just been composting, and I'm going to see if we can grow something, because apparently we can. This thing is a volunteer that popped up. I think you guys seen that before, and it had some really beautiful purple flowers, and now I think it's gone to seed. So now this is probably dropping all over the place. And I'm not even sure what this plant is, what it's used for. I don't know if it has any medicinal values. Of course, every plant has some sort of medicinal value, and also has a toxic value as well. Everything is can either be poison or medicine. It's all depends on how you use it, how much you use. Some people say it's all in moderation, but really it's